Hello there. My name is Larry Klukashevsky, aka Larry Clue, aka Mr. K, aka just plain old Clue. And I am here totally impromptu, that rhymes with clue, uh, wanting to start my journey as a public speaker. I'm a retired school teacher of 28 years, and I currently run my own charitable organization called the Larry Clue Foundation. I taught art for the past 9 years, and prior to that, I was an elementary school teacher. And if you notice, I pause a little bit while I'm speaking. I do apologize for that. The reason for this video is to introduce hopefully a series of videos that I'm going to do on my rare cancer-induced autoimmune disorder called Paraneoplastic Syndrome. I never knew anything about Paraneoplastic Syndrome prior to February 2019, but that was my diagnosis month. But prior to that, I had experienced a lot of symptoms that led me to believe that something was definitely wrong with me cognitively and physically. So I began a journey, a health journey to try and find some answers. And I am still on that journey today. I just recently retired after 28 years in the classroom because of my paraneoplastic syndrome. And for future reference, I may refer to it as PNS. Those are the letters that obviously stand for the syndrome itself. So, because of PNS, I had to end a 28-year teaching career, and it was simply because the speed of the profession was getting to be a little bit too much for me, to be honest with you. And even though I taught something that was very instinctive for me, it was still a challenge because there is so much associated with being a school teacher in this day and age, and I just could not keep up with it cognitively and physically. It was very physically demanding, and people who are school teachers know what I'm talking about. It is a mental exhaustion like no other feeling in the world. And I've read it's because your brain makes thousands of snap on the spot decisions throughout the course of a school day. And most of them, if not all of them, involve the students and their best interests, their safety, their ability to learn, and just a plethora of decisions that are needed to be made by the instructor for the success and well-being of his or her students. And I was blessed in my final days to have experienced some of the most wonderful classes and truly the most wonderful homeroom of my career. And I miss that aspect of teaching. I do not miss the mental and physical exhaustion, and I don't miss a lot of the much needed and very important paperwork. And towards the end, these aforementioned students were just so good to me because they knew I was in decline, and they would remind me where we had left off. They had remarked to me about where we had left off with regard to stories because I would tell them all sorts of art history stories. And they would help me navigate some technological details and aspects of the job that my old and tired 52-year-old brain just was having difficulty uh, dealing with. So I was very blessed, very, very, very blessed. And I look back on my career as a school teacher with fond, fond memories. I've been blessed. Back to paraneoplastic syndrome, and that is the reason that I would love to begin doing a series of videos is because I've become somewhat, I think maybe an expert is too strong of a word, but I've become very well versed in the lingo associated with the disorder. There is no cure for the disorder, and the disorder is cancer induced, meaning that a known or an occult cancer has caused the syndrome to affect your body. And the discovery of the cancer will determine the outcome of the disease in each particular instance. Myself, personally speaking, I've tested for 3 different antibodies associated with paraneoplastic syndrome, which are indicative that there are tumor cells in my body, though no tumors have been found. So this is a bit of a positive in a way. My body has kept the cancer from metastasizing, which of course is a good thing. But the downside is that a person with PNS has an immune system that launches a fierce attack not only on the invading cancer, the cancer cells, but also on good tissues in the body. And myself, personally speaking, have been compromised neurologically and also physically, muscle and joint pain, involuntary movements, speech disorders. I'm holding it together pretty well here with this little video. But many of you out there who have PNS, you may be quite aware, painfully aware of the fact that it messes with your speech, particularly when your brain is tired. After a long day of work, I would come home and my poor wife, many, many evenings, would just have to translate or try and decipher what I was mumbling. And even though I'm retired, this still happens. It's still with me because a person who is fighting a rare cancer does not just quit living. Even though I'm retired, I still attempt to do what I can and stay busy, particularly with my sports art. I mentioned that I run a foundation, and so I am able to paint, even though PNS has affected my eyesight as well. I try to stay busy, and as a result of staying busy, of course, my brain still becomes quite fatigued. So these are things that a person with PNS contends with and deals with on a daily basis. So what I would like to do in future videos, if there is an interest, is to examine paraneoplastic syndrome a little more thoroughly with you all, and to tell you what I know about the disease, and to tell you about my treatments and a lot of the tests and procedures that I have had to endure. And I'd also love to discuss the world-renowned care that I have been so blessed to receive and continue to receive. I visit the Cancer Center in Wexford, Pennsylvania, every 21 days for immunotherapy treatments. I'll be going there again this coming Thursday and Friday. I do, I guess they would be called 2 day cycles every 3 weeks. And I also do a chemotherapy 4 times a year, and that's also done in 2 day cycles. So it seems that I do two, usually midsummer, and then two somewhere in the neighborhood of holiday time. Like I said, I've been dealing with the disease for 3 years now, but I know that I've been suffering from it. Suffering's a strong word because I have a good life, but yes, there is some suffering and challenges involved, no doubt. But the point I'm trying to make is I've had PNS prior to my diagnosis. I know I have, and a lot of the symptoms really mirror or mimic a well-known disease called CTE, chronic traumatic. Let me try and say this: encephalopathy. There, I got it out. Later in the evening, I would not have been able to do that. But that's what I thought I was dealing with at first because I've been a lifelong sports lover and a lifelong athlete. And I was specifically a catcher in baseball from the time um, I started Little League, maybe 6 or 7 years of age, all the way up through Division II college baseball. And so I had been knocked upside the head and foul tipped in the mask and run over at home plate more times than I could count. And so I had remarked to my wife that I was in the very early stages of CTE, which scared the heck out of me, of course. And that's what began our investigation, our journey to, first of all, my primary care doctor. And that led to neurology, and that led to oncology. And it was discovered that I have this rare cancer induced thing going on inside of me. So, back to the nurses and the doctors, they are world renowned because I live just north of Pittsburgh, PA. And without these wonderful people in my life, I would not be sitting here talking to you. And without the fact that I was in my late 40s when I contracted the disease, I'm now 52. Without that on my side, I would not be here either because I am young enough and I am strong enough and I am being cared for by the greatest doctors in the world. And all of these things give me a fighting chance against this disease, which unfortunately has no cure. Folks who have the disease and actually have a tumor come to the surface and can possibly have that tumor removed, I know that that can help greatly in fighting the disease. I also know that people such as myself, whose bodies keep the disorder at a cellular level, oftentimes never get to the tumor phase. And sadly, the disease takes over completely, and the person is rendered very disabled. And, sadly, eventually, a lot of people pass away from PNS. So every day, this is my reality, but I refuse to allow that to be a negative. Uh, I have wonderful familial support. I have the best friends in the world, and God is on my side. I have faith in the Lord, and I think that I'm being led down a path where hopefully I can help some people. If in no other way than to just share my experience and to help lift others up along the journey of paraneoplastic syndrome or any other cancer or autoimmune disease or rare disease. I mean, there's just so much motivation to keep going, and there's so much good about my life that I want to make these videos and just share a bit of my story because I think it will help. I've done some general YouTube searches on the disease, and there's very little out there. I also belong to some wonderful closed Facebook groups, social media groups, and they are very helpful. Uh, I belong to one, for instance, that is worldwide, and I believe there's only about 800 members. So that speaks to the rarity of the disease. And as I had mentioned, there's no cure to the disease, but that does not mean that doctors are not working feverishly to control and cure the syndrome. So I'll close with a little plug for my foundation. As I said at the beginning of the video, my name is Larry Klukashevsky, and many people call me Klu. And so I originally had a sports art business called larryklu Sports Art. That's KLU. And a little while ago, about 6 months or so ago, I decided that I just wanted to convert my little sports art business, which was already doing a bunch of charity work to begin with, into a full-blown 100% 501c3 charity. And so Larry Klu Sports Art became Larry Klu Foundation just as 2021 was turning into 2022. And my main focus is to help cancer warriors with a little extra love being thrown towards PNS warriors. And it took me a little while to find an association, an organization that does help with funding and research and treatment as it relates to PNS. And it's called the Curran Foundation, and they are based in Tampa, Florida, I believe. And I've just recently made contact with them, and I'm going to be able to help out some PNS patients directly via my sports art, which makes me feel wonderful, of course. So I'm going to close with just a couple of things here. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for watching this video. I hope it was helpful in some way, shape, or form. I'm a big quote person, and I totally did not plan this video today. I just, it's quiet in my house right now. My dog's asleep on the couch over there. My computer was here set up in this manner because I had an online doctor appointment yesterday. And I said to myself, you know what? It's time to make that first YouTube video. So I didn't really take any notes. I'm speaking from the heart, but I'm a huge quote person. And so I'll end with this quote. Hope I don't screw it up too badly. And for future reference, anytime I do share a quote, you have to know that it's slightly paraphrased. But I love Vincent van Gogh. He's one of my artistic inspirations. Um, I feel that all artists put their heart and soul into their work. And I did read a study that many artists, because of the creativity in their brain and the part of their brain that is utilized for these creations, makes them somehow also prone to some mental health conditions like anxiety and depression and bipolar disorder and things of that nature. So I'm not sure of Vincent's exact diagnosis, but I know the poor guy suffered. And, one of his quotes was, I've put my heart and soul into my work and I have lost my mind in the process. And that's a very sad quote. But I'll end with a much more upbeat quote from Vincent. And it goes something like this: I believe there is nothing more truly loving and artistic than to care for other people. Okay, so I know that's not the exact quote, but the point I'm trying to make is he would have given the shirt off of his back. He wasn't always sound of mind, but he was truly always sound of heart. His heart was always in the right place. So thank you. I look forward to more videos in the future about paraneoplastic syndrome. I suppose my hashtag when promoting this video will be hashtag paraneoplastic, hashtag PNS, hashtag cancer, hashtag autoimmune disease, hashtag larryklu. I think that's that's my username for YouTube. So I'm very new to this, but I think I'm going to enjoy it. So thank you, and we will talk in future videos. God bless. Bye now.